Good morning. Welcome to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. I'm happy to see all of you here and happy to imagine all of those at home tuning in. Hello. Visitors, thank you for coming. You honor us with your presence. Today's service, like many services in July and August, are lay-led. This gives our minister time to rest and recharge her batteries and for the congregation to see more of the tapestry that is us. Today's speaker is Twila Preston. She's been a member of the church from 2016. She is part of a Soul Matters group. She's also, I guess, newly elected to the board. She's a member of the spiritual text group, which is how I primarily know her. And in her professional life, now semi-retired, she is a psychologist. So you'll be interested in hearing Twila. Visitors, drop in to our coffee hour immediately following the service. It's out in the lobby there. That way you can get a broader view of this community. And now it is time. I have to say that I've been thinking recently of this greeting, and what comes to mind is Deadpool 2. Vanessa's words to Deadpool. Come on, Red, kiss me like you miss me. But because this is a congregation, we will not be kissing anyone today. Please use your elbows or keep social distance as you greet each other now. It's good to be here. It's good to be here together. There are almost several announcements, just a few, so one under several. We have new SMUUCh t-shirts. Jim Christ is modeling one. You all can look great in those t-shirts, but not as great as Jim Christ. Thank you, Marjorie Rice, for making these happen. They are available for sale in the foyer after the service. There's also the all-church picnic that is coming up on August 13th. There's more information about the picnic in the email, the all-church email. The email has two links. One is a link to sign up to attend the event. The other is a link to sign up to help. And Sandra Hannon, it will actually be out in the foyer. I guess you can sign up today as well. So thank you, Phil and Sandra Hannon, for planning this event. Please join us in Fellowship Hall after the service today as we wish Deb Markham farewell. She's done a tremendous job over the past 17 years as our church administrator. She is moving to Michigan, and, you know, it's a long commute. There will be snacks. This will happen right after the service. It'll be part of our coffee hour. Visitors, please feel free to come and enjoy the coffee and the fellowship. And you can, of course, maybe meet Deb and regret that you didn't get to know her longer. The rest of us can get to say goodbye to her. Just the basic session for newcomers that would normally have been held today will be held next Sunday, the 17th, immediately after the service. There is a new Soul Matters small group forming. It will meet on the first and third Sundays before church in the months of August, September, and October. For more information and a link to sign up to the group, please see your weekly all-church email or talk to John Young. And Chris Ediger has a brief announcement about the 8th principle.
Good morning. Just a quick reminder and invitation that we'll be having our meeting directly after the service. So grab your coffee and come join us in room 3 or the boardroom, and we hope to see you there. Thanks.
I didn't lie, I just forgot. We are now in several announcement territory with 6. Next week, we will have a guest preacher, Evie Lennon, who is an author and illustrator. She will take us on a virtual tour of the struggle bus, which transformed her spiritual ideas. So please join us as we go on the trip on the struggle bus with Miss Lennon. And now,
this is the part of the service I was most worried about. And our call to worship today is gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Our opening hymn is number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door.
Please rise if you are willing and able. Please be seated.
With Katie Agnew. Join me on the chancel. As Katie comes forward to light our chalice, we invite you to join us as we recite our covenant. The words are printed on the wall, but if you know them by heart, then say them from your heart, and let us affirm that love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another.
Thank you.
So each month, the church, following the Soul Matters material, reflects on a theme. The small groups do this in their meetings, the children do this in their classrooms, we do it here in service. But as the UUA traditionally shuts down for the summer, woohoo, summer's on the Cape, Soul Matter calendar leaves out the month of July and August. So Twila asked me to do a reflection on the topic of transformation, the theme which apparently this church has chosen for July. When she said transformation, I immediately thought, werewolves. I know, my mind went there. It often goes there, you know, the place where there's a sign saying don't go there. Well, today I'm going to honor that sign and not go there. Besides, there's no full moon this morning, and I'm not sure that clair de lune can actually inspire lycanthropy. And physical transformation is perhaps too literal, too limiting. And there's too much of that before-after ad quality about lycanthropy. You know, before mild-mannered, upper-crust Quentin Collins, and after crazed, drooling Wolfman. And so I let my mind drift. It does that a lot. And I began to think of, God rest ye merry gentlemen. Don't ask. I'm not sure how we get from werewolves to gentlemen either. This time, the transformation is small but important. For most of my life, I think maybe up to the time I reached retirement age, I had assumed that a comma came after ye and before merry. In other words, the song was directed only at merry gentlemen. Grumpy gentlemen, like Grumpy the dwarf, were totally excluded. And then someone pointed out that the comma should come after merry, and that merry was here used as an adverb. That's a mighty transformation from adjective to adverb, and one you might miss, and that I did. In other words, the song was directing gentlemen, including the aforementioned grumpy, and maybe even werewolves, to be merry. Or to rest in that classical, blissful state. My appreciation for the song changed following that timely intervention from a more attentive punctuator. In my merry reverie, I won't take time to point out that the injunction in the song does leave out all sorts of people, women, kids, just to name two, but an awareness of where the comma and the appropriate pause in the statement comes has changed how I sing the carol. I still don't sing it with any commas, just like the tune was written without any commas, but in the chiron that rolls magically before my eyes, I have the comma now in the right place, and that has changed my sense of the words, even if all the singing rushes past that pause. What I'm getting at is that transformations don't have to be big to be big. Often change is incremental, and transformation happens all the time, and we don't realize it. For myself, I hope to notice my changes better and to make conscious some small changes in myself or in how I approach the world, to the end that we may all rest merry, even the werewolves.
Please come forward for time for all ages. How are you all? Good. Enjoying summer? So-so? It's kind of hot outside, huh? So, I know it's summer, but I have a question for you all. During the school year, how many of you love and look forward to recess? Me too. You look forward to what? The end of the day. Okay, that's fair too. But going back to recess for a second, how many of you love the monkey bars? How many of you are good at the monkey bars? How many of you are not so good at the monkey bars? Yeah. Well, when I was in elementary school, I was bad at the monkey bars. But I loved a challenge, so I was determined to conquer them. Every recess in the first grade, I have distinct memories of making my way straight to the jungle gym and declaring, I'm in training, so as to discourage everybody to back off and not get in the line. Up I would go. I remember putting my hands on the first bar and immediately feeling discomfort. The bar was hot and rough. Oh well, keep going, I would say to myself, as I held onto the bar tightly and stepped off the launch pad. My shoulders twisted and my back began to hurt. Lean into the discomfort, Neil, you've got this, I said under my breath. Well, I didn't. Not that time, nor the next time, nor the time after that, so I tried again and again and again, and eventually I did something that was against the school rules. Uh-oh. Can any of you guess what I did? What do you think? I climbed to the top of them and got on like a ladder and worked my way across horizontally. That was a big no-no in the first grade. Hey, get down from there, I heard someone shout. As I turned to see who it was, I fell and landed on my head. Dazed and covered in wood chips, not a very good look, I opened my eyes to discover Mrs. Zunini standing above me, accompanied by a crowd of classmates. Are you hurt? She asked. Always prone for drama, I told her my leg was broken. She kneeled down and asked me to move my leg a bit. I did and winced. She said, walk it off. Walk it off, I thought. As if reading my mind, she followed up with, walk it off and try the monkey bars again the right way. So after grumbling, I did try again the right way. I made it 3 or 4 bars before my back started to hurt. Perhaps the monkey bars just aren't for me. But to my surprise, I heard some supportive cheers. Looking to my right, I saw a crowd had formed. Mrs. Zunini was there, and a whole bunch of my classmates. Oh gosh, I really can't fall now. So on I went, from one bar to the next. One bar after another. What's that? I thought as my feet hit something solid. I made it across. The crowd roared. So, what's the lesson here? Life may be uncomfortable. The monkey bars may be uncomfortable. We fall. But with every episode of discomfort comes the opportunity to grow and try again. It's even better to find cheerleaders in your life who can help you through. So, I'd love to end with a cheerleading squad. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Thank you all. So you'll follow Miss Dr. Jen Lacey to the area? Go now in peace, go now in peace.
We're going to do embracing meditation just a little bit different today. So I want you to sit with your feet on the floor and become aware of how you are feeling physically. Is there some discomfort, some tightness, some dis-ease? If so, take a few minutes, or moments, not minutes, to breathe into those areas. So get an idea of where you've got that tightness or pain and just breathe into it. While you are breathing into these areas, tell your body you are sending health-giving breath to those parts which are lovingly telling you that they need your kindness and your attention. Now, become aware of how you feel emotionally. Is there some discomfort, dis-ease, fear, anger, resentment? Breathe into those discomforts. You are sending health-giving breath to those emotions. Tell yourself, thank you for bringing these emotions to my attention. By doing so, you are listening to and acknowledging your feelings, and you are taking care of yourself. You are acknowledging how much these parts of you, these emotions, crave your attention when they're uncomfortable. That part of you wants compassion from you and for you. It wants comfort from you and to you. Your spirit cries out for your attention. So take care of you. Okay. So we're going to do joys and sorrows now. And I invite you forward to share in 2 to 3 sentences a special joy or profound sorrow in your life. Where would I be without Bernie? Is it on?
My name is Jenny Ashby, and I'm lighting a candle for one of my dearest friends who was a wonderful member of this congregation. In fact, I brought her to this congregation 15 years or so ago, and on Friday, 11:30 in the morning, she passed away. She had ALS, and it progressed very rapidly, and Rose was there shortly before the end, and anyway, Marta Bainham, many of you knew her. For those who didn't, you missed a wonderful lady.
Very sorry to hear about Marta. I'm here to invite you to the pantry open house next Sunday following church. We'd like you as community and parish members to see what the pantry is doing to help eliminate food insecurity in our area. So we'd love to see all of you there.
I'm Melissa Melosi, and this is a candle of joy as this Friday will be my 8th and final treatment, so for now. So I'm lighting a candle of joy.
I'm Jennifer Nelson. She's probably not going to like that I'm doing this, but I'm lighting a candle of gratitude for Deb Markham. As long as I've been at this church, no matter what wacky question I had, she either answered it or got me to somebody who could. I can't imagine this place without her, but I know there's great things in front of her. Thanks, Deb.
Okay, I'm going to light one final candle for the joys and sorrows that we keep in our hearts and we find too tender to share. So now I have some spoken words, and these actually came from our Soul Matters packet for the month. So those of you who are in a Soul Matters group may well recognize them. We are not meant to stay wounded. We are supposed to move through our tragedies and challenges and to help each other move through the many painful episodes of our lives. By remaining stuck in the power of our wounds, we block our own transformation. We overlook the greater gifts inherent in our wounds, the strength to overcome them, and the lessons that we were meant to receive through them. Wounds are the means through which we enter the hearts of other people. They are meant to teach us to become compassionate and wise. It's from Carolyn, I don't know if it's Miss or Mays. She's kind of a Christian mystic type person. And then this one from Amy Zucker Morgenstern, and says Reverend, so I'm not sure what faith, but spiritual transformation is a death as well as a birth. The teachers who help us to grow know that it cannot happen without pain. They don't save us from it. In fact, what they do usually intensifies it. Okay. So as John asked me several weeks ago if I would be willing to do this because someone else's schedule changed and they couldn't do it, and I said, sure. So I used to attend a UU church in Sioux City, Iowa, established in 1885, and the first minister was a woman. She was one of the sister ministers that came out to the Great Plains and established churches. At one time, that congregation was huge, and then in the 60s, it surprisingly burnt down. Nobody took credit for it. When I was there, we had a church house, and then we built an addition onto that. And so we had a small sanctuary, and usually there was between 20 and 40 people there. We didn't have a minister, and so oftentimes we would just kind of divide up the year and then take turns sharing our messages. So This isn't the first time I've done this, although it's the first time I've done this here. So I've spent most of my days over the last 30 years as a psychologist, either in training or in practice. And much of what I do is teach people or help people to learn how to accept, embrace, and use all of their emotions toward better health. Those pesky emotions. So what do emotions do? Well, first of all, they tell us how we're doing. You know, it's you telling yourself, oh, this is pretty good. Should we keep doing this? You feel that when you're relaxed. Does anybody have to say, oh, yeah, relax again? No, it's okay, you know that. If you're happy, you don't mind repeating that. If you're joyful, you don't mind repeating that. And generally, you know, good excitement, great. And by doing this, they tell us we should continue, or with the uncomfortable emotions, they tell us something inside of you and me needs attention. So that's the one thing. The second thing emotions do is they direct our behavior without us having to make decisions and think about it. So, joy. Young kid climbs up the slide, goes down. You see this big grin on their face. Do you have to convince them to go around and climb up that ladder again? Oh, they're joyful. They want to do it again. They're having a good time. But they also direct our behavior when we have an uncomfortable emotion. And the story I often use in therapy with my clients is, you're gonna have to bear with me because I'm a farm girl. You're walking down a little path on the prairie. Grass is up maybe 3 feet to the sides of you. It's dusk, just not quite dark. You're by yourself too. And you hear some rustling to the side of you. Well, could be a critter, right? And so then you're kind of keeping an eye out. And then about 15 feet in front of you, you see a critter kind of amble out, black. And then you catch a little bit of white. What do? Do you have to think about it? No. Because automatically, skunk! And you head the other way. It's the smart thing to do. But you don't have to go, might that be a skunk? We also have a black and white cat. No, you just leave. And you may, a few yards down the way, turn around and see that your farm cat is like licking its paw and cleaning its ear. But, our brains get things wrong sometimes. Most of us have little difficulty with the comfortable emotions. Some folks do. Don't get me started on that. That's for another day. But uncomfortable emotions like fear, anxiety, anger, frustration, guilt, jealousy, regret, resentment, sadness, grief, more. Not more, but are there more? Yeah. But they cause us the problems. So why do they cause us problems? Why do those uncomfortable things cause us problems? Well, because we've been taught that they're embarrassing. They need to be controlled. They can hurt people either physically or emotionally. They can be used as weapons. They don't feel good. And probably most important, they lead us to feeling vulnerable. You might hear yourself saying, I thought I had better control of myself than this. Or, oh, don't let them see me cry. So what happens is most of us deal with emotions in a 5-letter word, avoid. We avoid those little pesky, uncomfortable emotions. We distract ourselves, we think about or we do something else, we swallow them, figuratively or literally, food, alcohol, we inhale them, we run away from them, sometimes literally. Exercise, while it's a great way to cope with anxiety, if taken to the point that you never allow yourself to feel anything, isn't good. But I'm not against exercise in any way, shape, or form. If you can run, more power to you. We also avoid our negative emotions, our uncomfortable emotions, by sleeping. Or we become overly involved with work, raising children, grandchildren, decorating, earning money, dating. This one I grew up with. We outwardly display anger, so other people just leave us alone, and we don't have to talk about those uncomfortable emotions. We minimize them. It's not that bad. Other people have it worse. There's no reason to get upset about this. Or we turn them into something else. And the classic thing that we turn them into is paralysis. But I've been working in the field for 30 years, and I've yet to see a conversion disorder that resulted in paralysis. But we get headaches, we get stomach aches, we get constipated, we have vague feelings that bother us physically. And I would say much of that is because we're avoiding those uncomfortable feelings. Why is that a problem? Why is avoiding them a problem? Well, first of all, you may never figure out what that emotion's trying to tell you. It's trying its best. You know, the only way it knows. We don't listen to each other or ourselves. You know, sitting and being quiet and listening to yourself, that's pretty hard for many of us. We don't acknowledge to ourselves, let alone anybody else, that we're hurting, we're scared, we're angry, we're frustrated. Consequently, what we do is we stuff all that discomfort. Remember Gunny sacks? Some of you are old enough to remember Gunny sacks. And so you take those negative emotions and you just stuff them down, down, down. And we're not aware of them then. What happens, however, is over time, that gunny sack gets filled. Or if you think about it as a pressure cooker, if you put too much stuff in the pressure cooker, and then something happens in your life that really turns up the heat under that pressure cooker, there's a safety valve, but it goes kablooey. And that happened to me. Great psychologist story. So I have a big sister that's 3.5 years older than I am, and she is a big sister. And I've always kind of felt, I'm the baby of the family, and I always kind of felt that I wasn't taken seriously. You know, she, well, I was just her little baby sister, you know. I didn't have much to offer. And when our mother died, we were talking, and she said, well, who's going to write the obituary? And I said, I'll do it. And then I said, because this way, my name and my son's last name will get into the obituary, because it wasn't in our father's, okay? It had my brother, last name, everybody, my sister, last name, everybody, and Twila and Merritt. And my nose was a little out of joint. So she didn't believe me, and I'm over there writing the obituary, and she's playing on her phone, and she says, oh, you're right. So she couldn't believe that I was telling her the truth. She had to look it up on the internet and check. But anyway, I exploded, and I said words that would make a sailor blush, plus she is a born-again Christian, and I said unkind things to her about her faith and how I felt about it. But what happens when you blow up like that? is people say, "You're overreacting." And honestly, you may not even remember all of that stuff you stuffed in that gunny sack. And your reaction is out of proportion to what just happened. But that's because the heat gets turned up. You know, your mama dies. Everybody's at their best when there's a family death, right? And I just couldn't contain myself anymore. So what do we do about that? How do we keep ourselves from gunny sacking our emotions? Well, it's a very short phrase. You feel what you feel when you feel it. So you feel what you feel when you feel it. And the only caveat to that is that sometimes you're not in a safe place to feel, okay? You're at a job interview, not going well, probably not the time to cry, right? But what I encourage you to do is later, maybe when you're in your car, maybe when you get home, whatever, then you let yourself cry over whatever it was that led to those tears. So when you become emotionally, or when you become aware that you are emotionally uncomfortable, you're on the right track. You know, if you're just able to say, I don't feel very good. This isn't good. I don't like this. And then if you acknowledge to yourself, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, this is not, I don't like this, I don't like this, you know, danger, danger, what's the Lost in Space thing? Dating myself there. But if you acknowledge to yourself, I'm scared, I'm worried, I'm angry, research tells us that helps a lot, just to label it. And then just embrace that discomfort. Just let it wash over you. Because you know what? Most emotions, if we don't muck with them, last 9 seconds. When was the last time you felt uncomfortable and it lasted 9 seconds? Most of us muck with them. So we distract ourselves. That's one way we muck with them. So you say, oh, I can't feel this. And what I used to do was eat. We use some other substance. We go to sleep. We exercise. Or we talk to somebody else about anything but what's bothering us, right? So talking to somebody else is actually a good thing, but not if you don't talk about what's bothering you. Or we feed those pesky, uncomfortable emotions. So we say things like, well, I'm right. He had no right to treat me that way. She's a skunk. That couldn't, or that should not happen to me. How dare she? I felt some of that with my sister. Or you feed them by saying, oh, will I ever grow up? Why does this always happen to me? Or, I have no right to feel jealous about this. She was trying her best. One day they will recognize that what I said was important. So when you feel that uncomfortable emotion, I encourage you to breathe, kind of like I did in the embracing emotions embodiment thing. Breathe into where you feel it. You know, you think about where it is and you just kind of breathe into it. And once that feeling has passed, hopefully, 9 to 15 seconds, you can look back on it and you can say, what was happening just prior to this happening? What's going on with me that needs my attention? What did I choose to do at that moment? Is there another way I could have handled this? And provide yourself with compassion. You're human. You're going to feel uncomfortable. Sorry, it's going to happen. And you need your love. Other people don't need it as much as you need your love. You may consider adjusting how you handle such situations to improve your life. Okay, next time I'm afraid, I am going to take a breath. Twila told me if I can not just kind of breathe through that 10 to 15 seconds, you know, I'll get through it. And it also sometimes happens if you look for patterns. So at my point in my life, I know a pattern, and that is if a romantic partner decides they don't want to be romantic partner with me anymore, oh my goodness, that'll send me to cookies faster than anything, okay? And that's just kind of like who Twila is. Okay. And then I want to say, if you are in the habit of either avoiding or feeling your uncomfortable emotions, it's going to take time to change your pattern. So you recognize this, and you become kind to yourself. And please know that every time you recognize you're having an uncomfortable emotion is a success. Because most of the time we're on automatic pilot. You know, life's just kind of going along, and we're not thinking about it. But if you can say, ooh, that doesn't feel good. Where am I? Okay. Every single time you acknowledge your uncomfortable emotions and say, yep, I'm getting irritable. That's my usual one. It's like, I am getting irritable. And that's a success. And every single time you label that feeling, it's a success. And why is that? Because when you recognize, acknowledge, and label that discomfort you're having, you now have time to respond to what's going on with you rather than reacting. And that's what we're about. Now, what your choices are is for another sermon. Okay. Now we're going to do the meditative hymn, number 402, From You I Receive. Video, guys. This is our other reading for today.
This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Rumi's one of my favorites. Okay. You know, I messed up my own order of service. It's pretty cool. Okay, Bernie, we're going to do invitation to the offering.
When you're in the driver's seat, you get to take the car wherever you want it to go. The church depends on us, on all we do here to help the church go, our gifts of humor, our gifts of hard work at the food pantry, everything that we do builds this church, is this church. With that in mind, the offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation for the ongoing work of this church. There.
We extinguish this flame,
But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These carry in our hearts
until we are together again.
Our closing hymn is number 333, Alone She Cuts and Binds the Grain. This is a new one, so please feel free to reference your hymnal. 333, please rise as you are willing and able.
And I picked it out, so if you don't like it, bring it up to me. So as a benediction, let's consider embracing our feelings, all of them. We can survive being uncomfortable for the 9 seconds required for our emotions to communicate with us. We thank our inner selves. We keep listening to and welcoming these steadfast, emotional messages. And I want to say, go in peace, and then there's something left over from childhood that I'm not going to say, but anyway, go in peace. Thanks, guys.